Ranjit, thank you so much for taking time out this evening from Cardiff, Wales, the United Kingdom, where you're hard at work building a platform that creates a level playing field for bringing businesses, communities, and people together in this beautiful, living, breathing, 24/7 marketplace, or really an ecosystem for health, well-being, and social good that supports our nonprofits, enabling them to accomplish their missions, whilst also providing companies a means to improve their employees' mental well-being.
Hello, Kerry. Thank you so very much for you and Awareness Ties for allowing me to be here. And a huge hello from Wales.
Huge hello from San Diego, California. I've found that passion and commitment, such as yours, always starts with a personal story. Is there a personal story behind why you're so passionate about helping the little guy, as you fondly refer to nonprofits who typically really struggle to raise funds, particularly on the heels of COVID? Is there a story behind 1 million steps?
It's an interesting question, isn't it, Kerry? Why do we do the things that we do, and why are we what we are? In a sense, our journeys are shaped by deep personal experiences, I guess. And from childhood, I've always hated bullying, and in schools, in the workplace, in relationships. And I guess you could say that it all literally started when I was that little guy, powerless. And in this growing sense of awareness, I started to notice the inequalities of the world that we live in. Um, but then when I was about 11 or 12, I read Mark Twain's The Tragedy of Pudd'nhead Wilson. A great, incredible book about social injustice, social inequalities. But one line in it just stood out, and let us so live that when we come to die, even the undertaker will be sorry. You could say that it's haunted me, but it's certainly driven me. That every day, at every moment, I have a choice to make, an action that can make a difference. And my path led me to 14 years in the social good sector, social housing, homelessness prevention, frontline strategic, and even at board levels. And I saw how unequal things were. And out of frustration, one day I said, well, actually, I busted my knee training for a charity event. I sort of said, can one person do something that can help raise 100 million for social good in 5 years? And that became my North Star. But the discovery of, how do we get to this 100 million and North Star? I realized that, look, what is the biggest social impact we can make? And, we know about the obesity and type 2 diabetes crisis that is out there, the upsells, the fluff. And I sort of thought, if we could embed no BS, no fluff, health and well-being principles in communities and use that as a fundraising tool and a motivator, we really would have a win-win situation. But it wasn't so easy, because in order to do that, we first had to create a level playing field so that the local greengrocer community group to the largest corporate charity all had to have the same powerful tools. And that's what I set out to build. I said, let's build a marketplace which harnesses and amplifies the passion and energy of people in communities with a core that is a celebration of well-being, but that every organization and every tier can use, because the little guys don't have it.
Yeah. No, I so love that. As someone who used to run a nonprofit, that tried to save lives and improve mental outcomes in the bipolar community, it was such a struggle for us, as quote unquote, a little guy or little woman in this case, to raise funds. So I so appreciate what you're trying to do. One of the things I was reading when I was researching your company is what you said about every day is New Year's Day. And if you want, you can start something good. And you really are the hero of your own story. And everything you need is already in you and in your home and just outside your door. And when I think about those who embark on your challenge of 1 million steps, and over 100 days tried to raise funds for local charities or the little guys. Do people really embrace the sort of sense of enlightenment that you're trying to empower them with and take on the challenge and successfully raise funds? I mean, what has your experience been of how people have personally benefited, as well as how charities have benefited as well?
That quote, every day is a New Year's Day if you want to start something good, was actually my granddad. I asked my granddad what his New Year's resolutions were, and he said that. And back then, I do remember thinking, well, that's ridiculous, right? There's only one day, and it's the 1st of January. But it then struck me, well, wait a minute, actually, I can start any day I want to if I want to do something good, not just for myself, but for society around me. And the two things that you mentioned there, we've had people who have come to us and said, oh, I don't know if I can do it. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll change my mind. And I said, look, just try, do your best. You're the hero of the story, as you say. You don't need to do much. We'll show you how to do things, but just have a go, because you never know where you'll get to. And we've had people come back and say, right on, just do it then, and done well. But I mean, in terms of the organizations, over the last 2 years, we've helped quite a few organizations, brand new nonprofits all the way to multi-million organizations. They all have an overlap, and whether small or large, they face some of the same problems. Or at least everyone wants a low risk, low resource event that they can launch easily,
Sure.
whether it's a big guy or a small guy. And that's the key, I think, understanding the multiple and deep pain points. And I was there, I was lucky. I did frontline strategic and was sat on boards. I spoke to businesses as an ambassador. And these things allowed me to see the bigger picture. And so, for the nonprofits, think of all the tasks, the multiple meetings, the discussions, what date do we set it on? And these things start getting bogged down. But the critical thing was the busy business owners. These are people who wanted to do some good. But whenever they went out, the local causes couldn't engage back. And the businesses felt, well, why can't, who's going to plan this? Who's going to do it? And, he's a busy business owner with staff. But the thing that we kept hearing was the businesses wanted something meaningful and inclusive that ticked as many of their goals as possible, the health and well-being, the CSR, but most importantly, please, with as little fuss as possible. We just want to get on with it was something they kept saying. And then let's remember that all of this is, the organizations, but critically, we've got the supporter or member of staff, and they're the participants, the users. And the user journey is so critical. Any break in it breaks the journey. And you have to make the user think about the value hierarchy, about what it brings to them. So it's easy to join. I understand the rules. You provide me with the tools. I can do it with friends and family, and I can do something for social good. And once it all comes together, no matter what happens, and I say this to them, it doesn't matter, just do your best. You'll learn something, you'll improve, and no matter what happens, you'll get a benefit out of it. And each of those points is critical. Breaking them hurts the journey. You asked about success stories. I love the small food bank that came to us, and they only wanted to raise £1,000. They were out in a rural area. They came to us a week before a national event, and they were very much a bucket in a supermarket kind of guys. Now think it through. And they explained it to me. They said, look, bucket in a supermarket isn't that simple. First, we've got to organize the volunteers. Then we've got to travel to destination with the kit. We've got to set up the stands and stand around all day asking for small change. You get some lucky some days, but it's still hard work. And we're not saying don't do that. What we're coming in is saying, look, you've got all that passion and energy. You can still do that, but also do stuff that allows you to scale your reach, scale the energy and amplify it easily, efficiently. So the food bank came to us to raise £1,000. It was a lot of money for them. And 1 week later, one of their supporters who worked in a local business brought that business along. And 100 days later, they raised £2,100. and it was double their target. It was a lot for them. They calculated it as 2 tons of pasta for the local community.
Oh, I love it.
Yep, and all of this came from 25 people who walked 9,000 miles in 100 days.
I love it. I love
Yep.
it.
And the other great story we had is again another small charity, one-person charity. Their big story is still, I believe, the biggest success ever. They raised £21,000 in 100 days. 200 people walked 75,000 miles, which is 3 times around the planet. And it's just so powerful to see how each person, each little bit comes together for that big result. But it's the stories of people that mean a lot to me, really. The mother who told me, wrote to us to say thank you because their 12-year-old had walked, I think it was 700 miles in 100 days and changed his mindset. Peter, who took the challenge 5 times in a row and signed up for a marathon. A stroke survivor who walked the length of Britain, that's 1,200 miles in 100 days. The professional rugby player who realized that he actually never spent enough time with his family, and he only realized that when he was going for walks with them. And the lady who found in her own way a sense of mindfulness when she said to me, I found more time with God.
Wow.
But the funniest one I had was, and these are the little things that people learn. A lady who said, I never thought I would ever walk in the rain. And then I never thought, oh my God, I never thought I would enjoy walking in the rain so much. But she said, the biggest miracle was I never thought my husband would join me to walk in the rain and enjoy it as much as I do.
Oh my gosh.
So these little, just they do bring a sense of joy, which also brings a strength, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's funny because you never think about when nonprofits reach out to use a peer-to-peer fundraising platform that the people who are actually raising money for them, walking, are going to get so much joy out of it. And these other sort of benefits, whether it's spending more time with their kids or spending time with their husband walking in the rain. I love walking in the rain. I love hearing these little stories. So thank you so much for sharing those. I just wanted to share with you something you may not be aware of because it's coming out of the States. Our Surgeon General recently released a report on the state of mental health in our workplaces. And the report actually shared 3 very interesting key findings. I just want to share those with you. 76% of workers reported at least one symptom of a mental health condition. That's 76% of workers. 86% said that workplace conditions had contributed to at least one mental health condition or challenge. And 81% reported they would be looking for workplaces that actually supported their mental health. And I know your model allows businesses to bring in 1 million steps as sort of a corporate wellness program, while also allowing employees to raise funds for a local charity, which in light of these findings in the U.S. Surgeon General's report really makes common sense to me that you're bringing in this as a value proposition. Can you expand for the readers a little bit about how companies can use 1 million steps to help their employees' mental health, while also allowing them to do some social good in their communities?
I'm actually going to start right at the top where you use the word corporate and also corporate wellness and corporate well-being programs. When we look at the number of people employed by small and medium-sized businesses in almost any country, the vast outweighs the numbers working in the organizations that have 2, 3, 4, 500 or thousands. And actually, many of the businesses that come to us don't feel that the corporate well-being programs are for them. We've had very large organizations who've taken this on as well, and we're talking about multi-million-pound organizations, and they had stuff running, but this was something else that they felt complemented stuff. But the biggest, the sounds I was hearing were actually to do with the fact that they actually felt they were small and no one catered for them. And suddenly something had come along, and as one of them said, so I can get my staff to do this. It's inclusive. I don't need to speak to HR, and we can do social good. And it's a bit of a no-brainer, right? Because there were multiple barriers for them to actually go on that corporate well-being side of things. And what we do is social innovation. You know, I'm very, very keen on emphasizing that we connect dots. Um, we have a sustainable delivery tool based on health campaign modeling, value-based healthcare principles that can be used for self and social prescribing. But importantly, to tackle health inequalities, it doesn't need to be expensive. And we start with the idea that well-being is actually different for each of us, but actually that we can all take the same simple steps to begin to make our difference. And what we do is we build the bridges to connect corporate and social responsibility, social good, and people. And I said that well-being doesn't need to be complicated. It certainly doesn't need to be expensive. And we emphasize that, as you say before, that if you're the hero of the story, then everything you already need is in you. That's the start. And if in your home, because if you haven't got the money, or traveler, to get to a gym, to go to to an outdoor class, it's just outside your front door. There's little things you can do. But the most critical thing is time and learning are your friends. Shortcuts and promises of quick success, they'll turn out to be detours in the end. Start, learn, repeat, improve, and persist. But just start. Yeah. And if you give yourself the time, the improvements can be so subtle. Sometimes you have to look back to realize how far you've come. But you start to explore other options to add to your journey. So we start dropping in learnings of the fundamentals of leading a mindful life, and where meditation sits at that. We try to emphasize that there are actually just 15 or so key body and strength conditioning exercises that you can take with you for the rest of your life. In fact, I sometimes say to people, be the best beginner in the world. And that alone is enough, because it will spur you on to try other activities. In fact, it's because your options are now wider, because you've come further from where you started, i.e., you've improved.
I love that. I love that. As someone who used to run a nonprofit, we did use a peer-to-peer fundraising platform, a traditional one, and it just had people go on Facebook and share a video and encourage people to give us money for a very good cause, mind you, but it had none of this incredible mindfulness that people could jump in and walk and as you push some stuff on yoga and meditation, so that they actually incorporate this into their life, not only whilst they're doing a challenge, but moving forward in their lives. It's just such a beautiful concept. So as you integrate all these components that you do in such an innovative, mindful way, and as you say, it's sort of a no frills, no BS sort of also corporate wellness product with these two really unique value propositions, allowing employees to improve their well-being whilst doing social good for local communities. I'm just kind of curious, where are you going next? I mean, what is your North Star on this?
Take it back about this innovation side of it. I think the proudest thing we've done is that food bank, or the one-person charity, or small business that just really has no time. When I go back to them and say, how difficult was this for you? They actually start off with, let me tell you how difficult it actually is to do what we normally do. And the difference between the two. And that is where they now have something that they, as one charity said, you are that tool in that toolbox that we know we can keep using, because it takes so little resources for the benefit that you're getting. So where's the future? Okay, so we see ourselves as a platform for well-being to tackle health inequalities, and that's an important part of this for us. We don't really see the fundraising element. It's there. It's an important element because of the social good motivator. We all want to succeed because we, want to do that social good as well. And we've learned so much since we started, and we're just a small bootstrap team, but we've raised over £100,000 or $150,000 for social good, almost 1 billion steps taken, which is, 500,000 miles or 17 times around the planet. We did it because of the people who gave us their passion and energy, because now they could do something that was meaningful to them. And then we hear the stories of how it changed their lives too. So next year, I guess in 2023, we're going to begin that, to answer, hopefully, that North Star question: can one person do something that can help raise 100 million for social good? So there's everything to play for, and we just want to start engaging now on a wider scale, with all the experience and knowledge that we've built up.
Yeah. I mean, you and I obviously are friends and have talked about this and working together. Our company name is Accelerating Social Good. So I'm so excited for what's to come in terms of our collaboration and using your products to help our nonprofit clients accomplish their missions faster and to me smarter by using this incredibly innovative platform and helping them get corporations on board as well to accelerate how much they can raise. I'm so very blessed to have met you, and so looking forward to helping you reach your North Star that much faster. One last question, if you don't mind. You've talked about renaming your company, keeping the challenge name 1 Million Steps, which I think is a great name. Can you share with us just a little bit about your thinking behind the new name of the company, which I happen to know and love?
Okay, well, the new name, yes. Let's keep it under wraps for now. I mean, we'd love to build a platform, as you rightly mentioned, as living, breathing marketplace, of well-being, health, and social good, and all the connection of the dots. We started off with this core challenge, this one powerful, impactful 100-day celebration of well-being, because of all the connections that it makes within communities, within people, within businesses, and within the social good. And we knew that if we could do this and prove it, everything else follows after. And Million Steps was never really going to be the original name. It really served us well, but we're not a one-house town or one-trick pony, and so the new name that we have, and I'm very pleased with it, is it really encapsulates our core beliefs of well-being, rejuvenation, kindness, giving. And it all has to come together. Kindness about what we treat ourselves, how we treat, what impact we can make. And this idea of rejuvenation, it's never too late to start, right? It's always okay to take that step forward. So all hush hush for now.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to breathe a word, I promise you. And I can certainly say I don't know what's going on in Cardiff. I know a little bit that you've shared with me, but I can tell you one thing for sure: here in the States, we can certainly use a little bit more kindness. So I so appreciate you taking time out tonight I know it's a bit late in Cardiff, and I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I can't wait for our continued collaboration and bringing this amazing, living, breathing marketplace full of kindness and compassion and social good and health and well-being, whether it's for people doing the challenge or for corporations jumping on board and their employees. I'm here to the States, to the nonprofits that we work with, at least. So once again, thank you.
Thank you, Kerry. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Cheers now. Bye-bye.